Teachers of Reddit, what's the coolest thing you've confiscated of a child? Live dragonflies. He was a little 4-year-old boy that would never listen to any of the rules and generally just cause a lot of trouble. Anyway, he would catch dragonflies without harming the monsieur. When you told him to release them, he would open his backpack and 2 or 3 dragonflies would fly out. You would not believe your eyes. If 2 or 3 dragonflies. The Dragonfly Kid. A note that said, "School makes me feel like a dog waiting to be euthanized." Honestly, the things the youth of today come up with. Scorpion in a jar. The kid had put in leaves, twigs and even some smaller bugs for it to eat. Made a real habitat. However, he was clumsy as hell and had a top locker above a concrete floor. No way I was going to risk him smashing the jar and letting it loose in corridor. Gave it back to him at the end of the day with very clear instructions it was not to return to school. ETA. Yes, I am in Australia, but in the south, so wasn't a particularly venomous scorpion. The sting would have caused about the same level of irritation as a bee sting. As for someone non-allergic, when I was a casual teacher I confiscated a knife from a 5-year-old. He threatened me with it when I tried to get him to do his work. It was my first week. Now that's a fucking rough school. Asterisk, we've been spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise. Asterisk. A dildo. It was found in the school garden. The kid came up to me and said, "I found a ding-dong in the garden and I'm taking it home for mom." I was not professional that day. Kid had daddy issues apparently. Lol. A raw egg spray painted silver. A live bird caught outside. A homemade hand buzzer. A luchador mask. Are your students the Penguin, Catwoman, the Joker and Bane? Can I offer you an egg in these trying times? Or, can I offer you an egg in these frying times, except I don't like fried eggs. I don't like fried eggs. They're oily, soggy, and fat, and they get everywhere. Frozen water bottle full of frozen margarita he was passing to his friends. 8th grade homeroom. So 13-year-olds sharing a cocktail at 8 a.m. Monsieur. It was actually kind of clever hiding in plain sight. It did just look like a bottle of frozen water. But my teacher since told me something was up. Edit. +1 to age. I don't teach anymore and misremembered the age range of 8th graders. I think it was fall semester, though, so more likely 13 than 14 years old. My teacher since told me something was up. These children aren't usually drunk. Lol, why are they do happy? Normally they do not barely do happy. Girl in my high school got busted with a water bottle of vodka. Got busted because she kicked the bottle across the floor to another student. Instead of, passing it in plain view like people would do with a normal water bottle. The odd behavior tipped the teacher. Girl had been bringing it for years without getting busted. A lot of drugs. Some really awesome lighters. A number of flick knives. Knuckle dusters. And my personal favorite, a kitten. He found it on the way to school. Brought it with him and had it in his locker, with lots of airflow and a blanket for comfort. I caught him trying to smuggle a saucer of milk to it. I'm a teacher as well, and 2 years ago we had a girl smuggle in a little pit bull puppy. She tried to make a bed for it in her locker, but of course the little guy was terrified and yapped like crazy. We all took turns babysitting him until school ended and she could take him home. She found him wandering on the road on the way to school that morning and stopped to pick him up. He was super cute. A redback spider from the gently closed palm of a 7-year-old boy's hand. Almost every recess for a month before I figured out a way to make him stop. He was never bitten. What made him finally stop? There was a big conspiracy of exam paper trading going on around the area my school is located in. Some kid figured out a way to get the independent exam that several of the schools would purchase. Each year, he sold copies to anyone who would buy them, including our students. We confiscated a copy of the exam with a different school's logo on it before it was issued to our students. Eventually my school figured out we couldn't buy exams from this seller anymore, as the papers for most subjects, English, Maths, Chin, etc., always made it to the kids through the black market. To my knowledge, the seller was never caught. I'm just imagining a young Edward Snowden leaking documents, then hiding out behind the bike sheds. One time in high school, my geometry teacher tried to take the phone of a kid who she thought was texting during class. Turns out, he had cut a hole in his jacket and was actually just masturbating. So she confiscated the penis? This reminds me of something similar that happened during my high school time. We had this math teacher who my brother really liked to tease. So this, an NBSP. Teach, brother. Put away your phone, brother. I'm not on my phone, ma'am. Teach. Yes you are. I can see it, brother. No ma'am. I'm just playing with my dick. He was playing with his belt so that it looked like it. But it was still obviously his belt. An NBSP. The face of teacher as she both had to laugh and didn't know what to do with my brother. An NBSP. Edit. Layout. One of my teachers took my yo-yo and tried to do a trick she once knew, and smashed a window. One of my teachers took my yo-yo and said, I was pretty good at this back in the day. He then proceeded to do about 5 tricks in succession. We were all impressed. I was a very casual yoer, and he gave me this smug look and said, show me your best trick. I shamefully put the yo-yo back in my bag. Now that's an adult role model. I always wonder what the teacher did with Dad's XXX porn mag I brought to school when I was 7. It's probably why you got to leave early that day. Her mother's clitoral vibrator. She brought it to school, age 8, and told her friends it was her, the students' tension reliever, and that her mother told her to rub it across her forehead when she felt mad. She then had all of her classmates do the same. To be fair, I didn't confiscate it. My in-room intervention specialist did. And Myas had no idea what it was, so she took it with her bare hands, put it in her pocket, and carried on with her day. Later on, she tried to hand it off to me and I clued her in. Just another reason Myas that year hated me with a burning passion. Edit to add, we called the mom. Mom confirmed what it was, that it was used as such. Kid had stolen it without permission. Also, is this short for intervention specialist? Just like the sentence right before I began using the abbreviation. An intervention specialist is a special ed teacher. I worked in an elementary school for kids with oppositional defiance disorder. So 95% of the kids there were special ed with extreme anger issues. Greater than just another reason Myas that year hated me with a burning passion. It's your fault for being better informed than I am. Quote. Not a teacher, but one time a teacher confiscated a kid's PSP. It got stolen overnight, so she had to buy him a new one. Physics was tense from then on out. Damn, that sucks, unless he stole it and then made the teacher buy him another one. Boom, instant profits. That happened to me back in grade school with my TI-83 calculator. I left it on my desk, so the teacher put it on his desk to give to me later. And some asshole stole it off the teacher's desk. Those things were like $100. Later that day, the idiot tried to sell me my own calculator. I just showed him my initials carved into the back of it, and kept it. Dumbass. Weed. And I like to think I did it in style. When I was young, I did a side gig as a high school teacher for a semester. I had first and second period with this class of 15 yos. Mostly boys. Before the first hour begins, I see how one of them excitedly shows something in his pencil case to his mate. They sat in the first row. So when they whispered something like, "Whoa, where do you get it from? And how much?" it was quite obvious they have a bit of weed there. Stealth 0100s. Technically speaking, I should have reported them there and then, even involving police. Since weed is illegal where I live, they would have been in a fuck ton of trouble. I could have also done nothing. What I did instead is, when they all left for the break, I locked the door from the inside, opened that pencil case and pocketed the weed. The looks on their faces when they were back, priceless. They knew I knew. They knew I knew they knew. But it's not like they could have asked me to return their weed. The quality was so-so. And it was barely over a gram, monsieur. This was 15 years ago, and it's the only time I knowingly stole something. I don't regret it. Sounds like a pilot for a TV show. You could call it Cheech and Chong. Well, this is my fucking time to shine. My coworker and I had a mild prank war going on. Somehow, the students caught wind and decided to instigate by stealing things from his room and taking it to mine, and vice versa. Here are some of the things I've had to take from them and return to him. His car keys, his entire desktop computer, portraits of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, pumpkins from his Halloween decorations, his desk chair, his car keys again, a student desk, his travel mug with his name on it. At this point, I'm convinced my coworker just doesn't want his car. And somehow, in the 5 minutes between his class and mine, they managed to flip all the desks in his classroom upside down. I'm not making this up. Greater than flipped all the desks upside down. Fucking legends, all of them. When I was a student teacher, caught a kid stealing Star Trek Next Gen novels from the school library. I knew the kid was in a horrible family mess, as they kept moving due to evictions, drugs, and violence. He never had time to settle in a school before he was moving yet again. I took the books back to the library, went home that night, and next day gave him all my copies. Hope his damn parents let him keep them, monsieur. He and I discussed the purpose of learning a dead language like Latin, my subject, and comparing it to Star Trek's Universal Translator helped him connect. It's been 30 years. I still will think of hi, monsieur. Edit. Bloody hell. My first gold, silver. Ta for that. Kind stranger. Wish I could split it with the kid. Wherever he went, he left for yet another school district less than a month after my term program ended. Double edit. I feel like I should add that I was in a weird place when I did my student teaching. I'd entered university early, and the uni I was at in the US made you teach your subject in the first semester of your junior year. I was 19 trying to teach Latin to students in a semi-rural town. Several students in the senior HS class were older than me. After the third time I was hauled aside for my hall pass. I took to wearing the granniest twin-set cardigan combo you could possibly imagine. Just needed varifocal lenses, hair in a bun, and maybe the hall monitors would have stopped pestering me. So the kid I helped was probably about 3 or 4 years younger than me. Tops. Yikes. I'm willing to bet he still thinks of you too. You're a good person. I was the kid. An imitation gun that used to belong to my grandfather. The thing was ancient, and was a simple single-shot percussion cap pistol. The more I think about it as an older, less stupid person, the more I worry that it was an actual gun. Since he was a policeman. Never got it back. That's for sure. You never got it back. Surely it was worth more than a couple dollars? Probably. Since I'm British, the school was pretty touchy around anything even resembling a firearm. And I never convinced my perpetually busy parents to go in and get it, since they wouldn't just give it back to me. Knives, drugs, boxing gloves brought to school for a fight club, homemade bong, with no cone piece, shiv made from an offcut of some type of acrylic made in manual arts, spear made from a bed frame, edited, a word, I've taken a dog chain, a massive sharpened tent peg, razors and sharpened sticks off one kid. Yesterday at school my deputy principal also confiscated what a kid claimed was his drink bottle. A bottle of Jack Daniels filled with juice to look like alcohol. I teach intermediate middle school. Do you teach in prison? Inner city public middle or high school? Saw this shit every day as a student. Don't raise your kids in Las Vegas. Not a teacher. But when I was a student in 8th grade we made muzzle-loading weapons. Very small pistols and tiny cannons. In woodworking class out of wood, scrap metal, springs and matchboxes. We got the powder from dismantling fireworks and used dried peas for ammo. We got the idea from watching Hornblower, and after that a few other kids thought it was cool as well. It went well until a teacher saw us dueling outside the school area. Many parents were called. My dad said it was the most fun PT meeting ever. The stakes were high. Edit, thanks for the silver. Edit 2, thanks for the gold! Exclamation mark. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.